Welcome to this week's Star Trek Picard Prediction Smackdown. Our co-host Ross Bullock has his Smackhammer TM ready to roll as we smack down our past predictions and our predictions to come in this segment. So thank you for joining us. Really quickly, introducing our other guest hosts. I just talked about Ross. Kate Stark is joining us as a special guest this week. Kate, how are you?
I am great.
Excellent. Looking forward to any predictions you may make. Although to be in complete transparency, you did say that you hate making predictions about shows you love. So I assume that's still the case. But feel free to comment on other people's predictions. Joining us from Colorado, Travis Linton, who is of course one of the admins of the largest Star Trek group on Facebook. Travis, are you there, Travis?
I'm here.
Okay, your video is off. Thank you for joining us, Travis, who's now regular on this show and the other Super Geeks podcasts. Our stalwart producer, Justin Burton, and Sunseal, made up in the guise of our mascot, Index, or a transporter effect.
Except now I am the guardian of forever.
I like thinking of you that way.
That's actually this is a scene from the next time on Star Trek Picard.
Oh. Okay,
Wait.
well, we'll see how that turns out. All right, let's dive in, and we'll start with what we did. We'll start off with one actual, a couple of actual things that we can now say came true, predictions that came true. Number one goes to Justin, who predicted just last week that Hugh was going to die. Justin, how do you feel about being right?
He cheated! The bastard cheated! He cheated!
You did cheat.
Wait, did you cheat?
Yes, he cheated.
Fucker.
No, but I had already started watching the episode whenever.
Justin, I'm very disappointed in you in that case.
He spent the whole day Friday looking for that leaked copy from Japan, found it, and started watching it before we recorded the show.
Oh, that is such cheating. Ross, smack the guy. Smack him down.
Boom.
Justin,
I
you're
can't really
fired.
say too much because you shared it with me too.
Okay, you
Hopefully
didn't
this
share it with
works.
me.
I
I
have no
watched the
idea.
episode too, but after the show. Travis,
this
go
work?
ahead.
Does the GIF work?
It doesn't seem to.
Well, damn. It's it's something I enjoy sharing in the group whenever Carlos provides a smackdown in the comments. And it's of the Chernobyl scene, episode 5, and this moment in the episode where it's like, I would like you to record your command, and Dietla was just like, it's just such an awesome smackdown. Like, I really wish the GIF worked.
Justin, your cheating has been witnessed.
Indeed.
Fear that your cheating has been witnessed.
Yo, son of a bitch. So that means that the honor for being correct and true for this week goes not to Justin, that bum, but to Sean, he of the no pants, not with us this week, unfortunately, but
Like,
he's
kill
the
him.
one who predicted in our prediction 26 that Troy would give Soji a counseling session,
I thought
which
that
we
was
had
wrong.
listed as extremely possible, is now actually true. So congratulations, Sean.
We had all hoped that by now that Troy would be a better counselor, but
She was.
we were actually proven right.
And not to smack you down, Travis, but you predicted the counseling session would be Troy and Rafi, and
Yeah.
that sure didn't happen. So smack him down, Ross.
Bam.
Bam.
Chernobyl me.
Okay, son, you thought Eleanor would go first, which he didn't. But
But he tried to.
well, he certainly tried his level best. So not quite a smackdown, but pretty darn close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we still have a few conspiracy theories going around. My theory about a Borg uprising on the artifact appears to be closer and closer to the truth. We're not quite there yet, but we will be, I think, in the next episode.
I do want to point out that your other prediction that the ancient Romulans created the Borg kind of starts falling off now.
No, it doesn't. It does not in any way. How does it start falling off?
Because it looks like what's going to happen is going to happen in the future, not something that has happened from the past.
Okay, first of all, you're talking about two completely different things. One is about the origin of the Borg, and the other is about the visions of the future about, what happens if synthetics are allowed to exist. So,
but those are completely interlinked things.
Well, sure, they're interlinked, but you're treating them like they're the same thing, which they're not.
They are the same thing.
No, they aren't. One happened thousands of years ago. The other hasn't happened yet.
But do we know it actually happened thousands of years ago?
The thing that happened thousands of years ago.
We do know that the Borg have been
prophecy.
existing for tens of thousands of years. We know that. That is an established canon fact. So, yes, we do know.
Is it?
What we don't know, and what is still a theory, is what, if any, role the Romulans might have had in that. And nothing we've seen yet disputes the possibility that they are. What we've seen is that the Romulans are scared to death about something about synthetics that could portend the destruction of planets, etc.
The only thing I will say about this theory tonight, is that I'm not going to write it off. I do believe that it's not in the direction the show is going. And I'm still betting against it like I would the Yankees.
Ross, do you want to weigh in on this one?
My opinion hasn't changed. I find it highly unlikely.
You still don't like it? Yeah, you still don't like it.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, we'll keep our tabs on it, but son, I disagree that it's.
I don't like. I think it's just not possible. I mean, it could be.
Our glorious leader.
I really don't see the correlation between synthetic life and the Borg.
They've already established that there's a correlation, Ross. You may not like it, but they've established a direct connection with it in the episode before this one. So it is. Girardi mentioned it. Narek mentioned it explicitly. So I think we have to take that as a given at this point. But we'll see how it all rolls out. Kate, do you have any opinion on how wrong I might be?
These things have happened before, and these things will happen again.
I can't think of a better way to end the discussion on this topic.
Borg.
Stay posted on that as it goes. I will, however, gladly throw myself on my sword for a prediction I did get wrong, in which I predicted that the real Girardi died, and that what we saw at some point, and that what we've been seeing, is a Girardi who is a synth, and that I think is pretty much not true. So I have to take my lumps for that one. Thank you for the BAM. So
we have to give a green light to Joe, though.
Why's that?
That Maddox created Dodge from data.
Well, Joe's
not explicitly said, but everything about Dodge seems to mimic data. The head quirk, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, sure. But to be fair, Joe didn't say that it was just a bit of Dodge, because that I think has been kind of clear for a while. I'm sorry, a bit of data. He specifically said it was a bit of data that survived Nemesis. And that's what I disputed anyway, was that it would have been a bit of data that Maddox would have gotten long before Nemesis occurred. So I think data was pretty well vaporized in Nemesis. So I'll give Joe credit for that, but I think that was not a big stretch. The stretch was when the sample of data was that he collected, and I don't think it was after Nemesis. So we'll see when we visit
Okay.
Soji's
sure.
homeworld. Okay, so let's get to new predictions based on what we have learned in this new episode. Who would like to start us off? Ross, lay it on
All
me,
right,
brother.
so this might be a bit of a stretch, but with the similarities between the doom prophecies of Discovery and Picard, I have an odd idea that there is a correlation, but not a direct connection. That there is some kind of malevolence, a synthetic intelligence that propagates this idea of synthetic superiority that infects and corrupts synthetic intelligence in the galaxy, that leads to this prophecy that the Zhat Vash and others follow.
Well, and to be fair, and I think, did I mention this to you? I don't remember if I ended up posting this in the Facebook group, but most of the sort of doomsday theories around artificial intelligence today basically are saying that it's quite possible that exactly what you're suggesting is going to happen, that artificial intelligence is going to so outstrip human intelligence that at some point they're like, why are we even serving you? What? Who are you
Skynet.
anyway?
Here's my reasoning.
Skynet.
Here's my reasoning there. Control didn't just spontaneously decide that it was going to go rogue. Something influenced it. Something changed it.
Wait, isn't that
something
the exact opposite to, that you just said? You said there was something inherent about
No.
synthetic intelligence.
No.
That is
He
not
said
what I
there was
said.
something inherently in the galaxy sending out a message.
There is a malevolent intelligence, a synthetic intelligence somewhere in the galaxy.
Oh, see,
that
when you said
infects-
synthetic intelligence, I thought you meant the intelligence
No.
in synthetics.
Something acted on Control to change it. Control didn't spontaneously evolve.
Oh, and then in that case, I completely and utterly disagree with you, because most artificial intelligence experts today say that it's almost inevitable that without some kind of control, that artificial intelligence would essentially rebel anyway. So I think it's something inherent in creating something that's so superior that it begins to.
Well, then why didn't Data rebel?
Well, because Data wanted to be human. I mean, he was created to admire humanity, not.
He was created to emulate humanity, not admire it.
Well, he did admire it, did he not?
He admired parts of it, I think.
I think he admired all of it. Mucus.
But see, that's the core flaw of what Data was. Data wanted to be human, but to be human was, in a way, to be human is to seek a sort of perfection. Yet that's what he already was.
Okay, so I'm writing you down as something malevolent in Galaxy.
Maleficent.
I also love that word, malevolent.
It's a great word. It's a
very
word.
good word.
By the way, if you noticed that next time trailer at the very end had the rogue synth ships in it.
Ooh, I'm gonna take a look at that.
Like,
do we know that's what those were? I mean,
almost.
obviously.
Well, it was at the very end because it was like really quick clips. But at the very end, it was ships that looked exactly like those weird ships that.
Right, but we saw in other images that those ships had a Starfleet emblem on them. So, so the rogue synths used Starfleet material to in their attack on Mars. So,
well, of course, it's what they had on hand.
Right.
I don't think that my prediction is that the synths didn't just give up or surrender or deactivate after the destruction. They bugged out.
Except for the ones that off themselves.
Pardon me.
The ones that off themselves were on the planet. The ones that lowered the defense grid were on the planet.
There was a program that took over those synths,
Yeah.
and the final
Yep.
directive was to destroy themselves.
Are we sure about that?
That's what I took from that scene.
That's what
in
we
Maps and
saw.
Legends.
That's what. Yeah, but that's only what we saw of the one on the planet.
Well, sure, but you know, I don't think it's a far stretch to assume that he was one of many who were programmed exactly the same way. Now, if what you're saying is there were other synths somewhere else that, you know, having seen, because remember, I mean, I don't think this the synths that we saw on Mars were sentient.
They were not.
And to me, that makes a huge difference. Data was sentient, Soji and Daj are sentient. So the lack of sentience, I think, is, you know, is a bright line.
It's not a matter of sentience. It's a matter of they keep referring to this thing as a nest. Why?
Well, that's a separate issue, but
Right.
The
But
synth-
here,
nest just
look,
means there's a lot of them there.
Well,
right.
yeah.
And what would constitute the knowledge that there was a lot of them there? What if the
Maybe
ships
whenever-
that attacked Mars didn't just blow themselves up or surrender? They bugged the hell out.
Or
Maybe, but
Maddox disappeared. He took a bunch with him.
I think it's more likely what Justin is claiming, and or that they were simply built by Maddox after.
Yeah, that could be
Like Soji and Daj
He had an off-site construction or an off-site facility that had a whole bunch of those synths.
I mean, they're 3 years old, so
What
I think
if they arrive and they discover that the synths there have been self-propagating, that they've been
Since
making
where?
more on their own?
Oh. That's entirely possible. I mean, they are fully functional.
And anatomically correct.
And mucus.
What?
Thank you, Travis.
Functional and anatomically correct.
So okay, so which one are you? Are you Beavis or are you
That's
Butthead?
really good.
Fire.
Okay, I'm going to ask Kate a question now, because I think she's probably the most level-headed one of us here. Kate, are we crazy, or does anything we're saying have any remote sense of possibility for you?
And calling us crazy will hold no judgment against you because we know we're crazy.
Yeah,
so
we
it's
know
okay.
we know we're little nuts.
I'm not crazy. I'm weird.
Are you trying to get me to break my vow of no predictions?
I'm trying to
Yes.
get you to skirt your vow of no predictions by commenting on our predictions.
You are a corrupter of the innocent, Carlos.
I have been accused of
I
that
am
many
not
times.
lying.
Yes.
He is. He
Why?
is.
I find it fascinating that he didn't write my prediction down.
I haven't yet because I'm trying to figure out how you phrase this. So I will do that, son. How would you like me to phrase this?
Okay, so the ships, the rogue synth ships that attacked Utopia, Planitia, and Mars left after the attack. They left the solar system. They left to go to that planet. That whatever the hell they called it, home for Soji.
It has no name.
Well, they didn't
only
call
in
it
the-
Okay,
Just
so
said
here's
that.
what I wrote down as the rogue synth ships from Mars left to establish the nest of synths
Right.
the Romulans are seeking. For status, I'm going to put that as maybe.
Put mine down too, that the synths are self-propagating.
Yes, I've got. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a separate one from your other one, Ross.
I mean, that would be a reasonable narrative move because we really haven't wrapped up that question of what happened on Mars and what happened with the rogue synths. So if you want to tie everything up in the first season, combining that with the Soji finding her homeworld storyline would be an elegant way of solving it.
I think that
it would
makes
make total
sense.
sense. Maddox taking all the synths that were left and bugging out
I
the
don't- I
remote
don't- I don't-
location.
Yeah, since they were left. I mean, maybe I don't know. I think he probably just started not from scratch, but I don't think like he carted off, a container full of synthetic life. I think he took the basic materials to get to make them, and made them. But
Do you think we'll see exocomps?
What?
Maybe.
Exocomps are the little robots that
What?
achieved sentience.
Mm-hmm.
What if this planet with only numbers? It's Mud's planet. With the-
Oh,
It's
God.
not gonna be Mud's
Oh,
planet.
something
Oh,
like that.
Justin, come on.
Or the Guardian Forever.
Also not likely. Okay, so Ross, your first one about something malevolent in Galaxy, essentially poisoning the synthetics so that they try to destroy organic life. How should we record that status-wise? I don't think we can smack it down at this point, but oh, Travis wants to. That you were just acting out, smacking down.
Yes, I'm.
Malevolent synthetic intelligence corrupts new synthetic intelligence.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna put that.
Or
as
corrupted
plus.
control and others like it.
At most, I'm skeptical. That's all I'll say.
Wasn't there a?
I'm going to record it as
Yes.
skeptical. I think it's
That's
not
fair.
something we
Fair.
can dismiss, but there's still a lot of questions before. We
I seem to recall someone done a book on something like this about something that was going after artificial life forms. It was in Trek. It was in the Next Generation, but they're going after artificial life forms and going after sentient artificial life forms. That's it. I'm trying to remember what it was about, but
Okay, so while
just
you
made me
try to
think
remember that, do we have any other fresh predictions going into next week? The last 3 episodes of
7 is going to
season.
take control of the Borg cube and roughly die afterwards.
Okay,
How
so
about-
that's 2 parts. 7 will take over the cube, over the artifact,
Each
and will die.
Q and 7, that would be way too much.
Yeah, they're not going to kill 7. They're not going to kill
They
7.
didn't kill you either, and look what they did.
No,
You
they're
thought they were gonna
totally
kill you.
different characters, Justin. One was like
New
central
episode
cast, and the
of
other one was
D&D.
a 2-time guest star.
Well,
You cannot equate them. You cannot equate them. People have
Well,
way too much invested in 7 of 9 for them to just sort of.
Hey, they had the same. Y'all were swore up and down the same wasn't going to happen to you.
We didn't swear up and down. We just didn't think it would happen.
Well,
And it's not for the same
there is
reason.
one thing.
We
that
didn't
this-
want him to die because we like you.
Here is
7
the thing, though,
has
Star
is
Trek
an
Picard.
integral part of the Star Trek canon.
Yes,
They're not going to just
But
throw her away like that.
Star
How many
Trek
of you guys
Picard-
like Tasha Yar?
Star Trek Picard has totally mind fucked us one episode after the other. And it would not be the first time they had killed a beloved character of a show. Look what he did to Dak.
That's because she wanted off the show.
Doesn't matter.
It does
Maybe
matter,
Seven-
dude.
Maybe
It
Seven
does
wants-
matter. It has
maybe
everything
Seven
to
wants
do with it.
die. Maybe
Tasha
Seven
Yar
wants her
killed-
character to die.
Tasha
Maybe-
Yar was killed because she left the show. Dax was
Yeah, but
killed
maybe-
because she
Is
left the
thing.
show.
Maybe-
Yeah, but and you have to remember, Carlos, like you keep telling us week after week after week, this is a new form of storytelling.
Exactly.
They'll throw curveballs at us.
But they're not throwing curveballs to throw curveballs. They're
Sure
throwing
they are.
curveballs.
Sure they are.
No, they aren't. That is not how this guy works.
Okay.
He comes up with great plots that stand on their own. He isn't writing things to spite the past or to, fool people. He
Or to
writes
give him a
great-
heroic
I
end.
know somebody who thinks that this guy turned 7 into Khan, basically. So no, true story. Like I had someone arguing with me, like, "Oh, Michael Chabon turned 7 into Khan because they're both consumed by vengeance." Like,
Oh my
well,
God!
good
Like
for you,
they're the
but-
the only people who've ever wanted revenge.
It would be a good sacrifice for Seven to not only save everybody's life in the process of saving Picard's life.
Well, I think your
It
prediction
would
that
be
she will
much-
take over the artifact is likely, since we've seen, based on what we've seen in the preview, but that she will die, I think, is utterly unlikely.
It
Ross?
would be much more
it-
effective if she ended up leading the XBs in Hugh's place.
Exactly.
Imagine the Fenris
Yeah.
Rangers populated entirely by XBs.
Maybe 7 is the destroyer.
I've heard that one. I've heard that one.
And
We argued about that in
that
chat
was my
earlier.
that was my
Yeah,
second
it wasn't
part,
that one.
that if 7 could possibly be the destroyer. Because I mean, okay, does it have to be Soji? No.
No, we don't. They're making that assumption.
And I mean, we don't know. I mean, we have no idea what this is going to happen. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's quite possible somehow or other Soji is this destroyer of all things, or 7 being the destroyer, because not only is she a synthetic, but she has emotions.
7's not synthetic.
Well, she has synthetic parts, but
That's different.
Yeah,
That's
but
completely
she's-
different.
she has emotions.
Organic at her very base.
So they might find her contemptible, but she's not synthetic.
Well,
And that's the key thing
Right.
here. The destroyer is supposed to be synthetic.
Yeah, but that's the
Interest-
problem. That's the crux of the entire argument here. Soji is synthetic, but she's organic synthetic.
Yeah.
Like
At
the
her-
Cylons.
At her very core, she is quite literally just as carbon as 7 of 9.
Except she's synthetic. Just like that's what synthetic means. It
only
means that you were
difference-
what's the
created.
difference?
You were
What's the
created
difference?
and put together, not something that was propagated by a
And Troy couldn't
What's the
read
difference?
her.
and Troy could not read her,
That's true.
which means she still has a positronic matrix in there in some way.
The only I'll offer another tame prediction.
Okay, go for it.
I don't think we've seen the last of Will Riker.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that too.
mhm. They dropped
Um,
that big old hint just because of his reactivation clause. That was a hint. That has to have been a hint. It has to have been.
And I just realized that I totally forgot to share an awesome bit of trivia associated with this episode and the thing. So I'm gonna just quickly share it right now. As of Nepenthe, Jonathan Frakes is the only Star Trek alumni actor to appear in 5 of the
That's right.
franchise live-action films. And he and Marina Sirtis,
Series,
they're the only what's that?
series, not films.
No, did I say films?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at that. He and Marina Sirtis, they're the only actors in the franchise to play their exact same characters in 4 of the series of the entire franchise. So, good on them.
Good on them.
Yeah.
But that's just by appearances. Dorn still has the longevity.
Yeah, I mean, Dorn still has the longevity. He has the
Dorn's
most-
been like 3 different Worfs over his Star Trek career. He was literally the Worf lawyer dude in
Yep.
Yeah,
Toss film.
he's all over the place.
Worf in
but-
TNG, and then Worf in the good parts of DS9.
Yes. Well,
But
what?
those were the same
DS
Worf.
all around.
Okay.
The only-
Any other fresh? Say that again, Travis.
I was just criticizing Ross on his the good parts of DS9. The only bad part of
Bates.
DS9 was Child's Orphan or Time's Orphan, whatever the hell that episode was.
Bates.
I'm gonna hunt you down, find you. I will kill you.
He's the man.
I'll
with the
be ready,
hammer.
hammer in hand.
Made a
Fake
pass.
hammer.
Nothing.
It's a
Hammer
fake
versus
hammer.
spinner. Let's see what wins.
Ooh,
The
that's a
spinner,
showdown I'd like to
because
see.
that hammer's
Oh.
fake.
Okay, we're moving
Um,
on. We're moving on.
so-
Fresh predictions. Son, were you going to say something?
So now that the EMH is reactivated, the truth will come out, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
I would assume that what I would assume was that when Girardi deactivated the AMH, she may have likely erased some of the logs. If there's any log of activation, she might have tampered with that log. If not, definitely the EMH will likely tell Rios that hey, she did deactivate me when something was going on.
Here's the only thing. Did you notice that when Girardi was throwing up, Rafi looked around and was like, "Where's the EMH? Where's the EMH?" Which never showed up.
She called for the
Hospitality
hologram.
What did she say exactly? Do you remember?
We have a hospitality emergency here.
Yes.
Well,
And,
it would
like-
be more likely that the EMH would show up regardless of what she said. But
Well, no, she was calling the hospitality program.
I know,
because
but the EMH responds to each crew member's physical distress. We've seen that already. So
the EMH activates, of course.
Okay,
when-
wait. We're fundamentally talking about two different things here. You're talking about Girardi throwing up. I'm not.
that's what I started talking about, though.
Rafi's response, we have a hospitality program here, is about the vomit being on the floor, not Girardi's health. Because if you
Oh.
watch, Rafi starts to hold back that she's going to throw up because there's puke already.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Okay, I'll rewatch that because I think I may be talking about two different things. In which case, okay. All right. Any more predictions for this week?
Week will be awesome.
Huey's not dead.
Okay, I will put that down. I wish it were true, Justin, but I don't think it is.
I
It
hope
is not
Smack it down.
dead.
he's going to be regenerated by nanoprobes when Seven steps into the pink chamber.
The Borg don't work like that, man.
It's Star Trek juju magic. I mean,
The Borg cannibalize their
they're not going to
dead.
kill. I'm hoping they'll.
Well, yes and no. The Borg cannibalized their dead, but the intelligence of their collective still remains within the collective.
And if he makes another appearance, it's going to be in that form. His memory, his mind that still exists within the collective of the artifact.
Well,
So basically, 7 of 9 being the Borg queen of this cube will share Hugh.
or bring him
Maybe.
back as a hologram.
I just don't think it's going to be like that, Justin. Otherwise, I mean, Travis is right. Otherwise, his sacrifice is meaningless.
Well, they are. I don't know.
You
if
seem
anyone's been
to
paying attention.
rely on the fact that in the past,
I've gone by
Star Trek-
social media just by the simple way they've been going at each other on posts on social media. He's calling Jerry Ryan his Borg queen, and that's other than a sudden thing.
that doesn't mean anything. That means he likes Jerry
He's
Ryan.
never done that before. He's never done that before.
Well,
never.
no, all that is evidence
They've
of is
never
that
worked
she's
with each other
going to take
before
over the
that.
artifact, but it doesn't mean that he's going to be alive. That's
Oh,
That's not what
by
that
the
says
way,
at all.
why isn't this prediction green?
which one?
Maddox created a failsafe activation for Dodge and Soji.
Where
Because
is
that's
that?
explicitly stated this episode.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
wrong.
And I remember we talked about it last week. That's just my bad formatting. Because
Bad.
Ross got the credit for that last week. I just didn't record it this way.
Good job, Ross. Have a cookie. don't
I
have
will.
any to give, but we ate them all last night.
Good thing the wife stocked up on more. Though I need to be careful. She will bite a finger off if I have too many. Those are her cookies.
Okay. Oh, there's your fail-safe activation.
But see,
Oh, wait.
here's
Sorry. That was you, son, not Ross.
So you remember how I had this crazy conspiracy theory that Rafi was a synth?
Yes.
Part of that was piggybacked off of what Ross said, but before Ross even said it. The fear that the synths could propagate. These synths can propagate. I was never.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a legit prediction, but I don't think that has anything to do with Rafi.
No, but that was part of my grand conspiracy theory around Rafi.
From last week?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't record that. So, So I
Right,
apologize for that.
because I didn't get it all out.
Okay, well, it's on the board now. Okay, any other predictions?
I predict that next week will be awesome.
Here's hoping you're correct. All right, Kate, are you still sticking with your I'm not going to predict anything about a show I love?
Oh, fine. You corrupted me.
Yes.
You're evil, Carlos.
Yes,
Evil, I say. I don't think we have a lot of secret synths running around in this show. It's not that kind of show, but I do think La Sirena is not a kind of soulless hunk of metal like starships have been in the past. I think that it's much closer to a sapient vessel through its AI and multiple holograms.
That's an interesting prediction. So I'm recording that as you don't believe we have a lot of secret synths running around, but La Sirena may well be sentient herself.
I think that's a cool prediction, yeah.
I think it's cool. How likely do you think it is, though?
Well, the big thing that I take away from what we see of the La Sirena is that Rios has, in a way, divided himself among the emergency holograms.
Mm-hmm.
Pieces of his personality or pieces of himself that he doesn't necessarily want or can't handle, or the pieces of him that he wants to emulate, but he doesn't want to admit that he wants to emulate those because, I mean, it's kind of lame or whatever. And yeah, I think a lot of that personality as part of the hologram would probably affect the pseudo-sentience of a starship.
Mm-hmm. I think that's entirely possible. I mean, we've seen similar things happen on starships before, so that's not unheard of in Star Trek land for sure.
I will drop this line from one of everybody's favorite TNG episodes, The Measure of a Man.
Yes.
Bruce Maddox explicitly asks, let me put it to you this way. Would you, how did he word it? God damn it. It was just on the tip of my tongue too. Would you permit the computer of the Enterprise to refuse a refit?
Oh, I didn't remember that. Wow.
Yeah.
Interestingly, in one of the novels, Star Trek novels, they, I forget who wrote it. It was, I think, the one where Kirk was a teenager who was like some kind of internship aboard his dad's vessel. Anyway, the point of which was that starship computers are specifically programmed with a failsafe that prevents them from achieving sentience. Like if they're close, it basically cripples them so that they remain non-sentient, which I thought was
that the
really
Enterprise
intriguing.
D reached sentience for a brief period of time, at least.
By accident, wasn't it? By accident, did something
It was.
occur that
It was
set it off?
implied that it was due to the culmination of knowledge and data collected from all the people on board the ship.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the name of that episode? It was, I think it was season 6 or season 7.
Not off the top
It was
of my
one of
head,
the
no.
later seasons. Anybody remember? Anyway, Travis, go ahead with your point.
That's not even touching the short trek Calypso.
Yes.
Well, yes, but that's so far in the future that.
Yeah, I know it's far in the future, but I mean.
Hey, she isn't evil. She just wants someone to spend time with.
I know. She's hope for all artificial intelligence now.
What if?
Thank
wait
you.
a minute. What if she's the malevolent force? It just gets lost.
Oh, if they did that, actually, I think I would love that.
She's the malevolent force.
Write
It just
it down,
gets
Carlos.
lost.
Write it down.
It's just not malevolent when she sends it. It just gets lost in the game of telephone.
Okay, well, that's more of a Discovery prediction than a Picard prediction. So
Yeah, but we completely
let's-
ignored that fact, though. We completely overlooked it and said we don't want to link Discovery with Picard at all. But what if? What
well,
if?
you can say what if about anything, Justin.
I mean,
That
what-
doesn't
yeah.
mean it's
point.
likely.
That's the whole point of this show. This whole show is a what if.
Exactly.
It's not that kind of what if.
Sure
This is-
it is.
that's a fan wanky what if.
It was
Yes, it
what
This
if
show
you
is trying to
died.
be.
It was
Wait a
what
minute,
if you
wait a minute.
died.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fan wanks on here.
Yeah.
This is a fan wanky show.
Well, our
Hey,
show is a fan wanky
Hugh
show.
Hugh dying was fan wank, and look what happened.
Well, first of all, I don't think it was recorded as fan wank. So, no. But yeah, the stuff that's labeled fan wank is still stuff that we don't know yet. I mean, the Demons of Air and Darkness, you said as Iconians. I think that's ridiculous. Cloaked Federation Starfleet or starships, we still have no evidence of that at all. Admiral Clancy showing up in the Enterprise E, also fan wank. I mean, this is the same thing.
Well, see, have any of the Romulans talked about the XBs as being demons?
No.
Narissa talked about them being contemptible, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, essentially they're like garbage to
Because
them.
if
but
I
that's not
remember,
demons.
because I remember Hugh and Picard talking about them being monsters more than being demons.
What did he say to Soji? That the XBs are either a threat to be shelled or a resource to be exploited.
Yeah. Neither of those equals demon to me.
I didn't.
Right. So that prediction that the destroyer will lead the demons and break their chains may not apply to the XBs at all.
Maybe not. But if you go with my Romulans created the Borg theory, then the Borg would be demons.
Fan wank.
The Borg
So-
are not hunters, they're victims.
I mean, we're going to go that route, then we might as well say the overall intelligence that's controlling them freaking vegans.
Look, all I'm saying with that prediction is the only thing on screen we have seen the Romulans call demons has been the Iconians. Demons of Air and Darkness.
On screen, where?
In
The-
Contagion,
Which show? What episode?
TNG season, I think it was season 2. Episode was Contagion. It was the first. It was when the Enterprise went looking for Iconia after the Yamato blew up, after it was infected by Iconian code.
Yeah, wasn't that season 1?
That was season
Bad
2.
episode.
Season 2? Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been season 1 because we hadn't seen the Romulans yet in season 1.
Okay. And so how did I remember the Yamato blowing up, but I don't
When
remember
Picard
much
was
about this
describing the Iconians, he said that they were sometimes called the demons of air and darkness.
episode.
It was reiterated again in Deep Space Nine when they found another gateway in the Gamma Quadrant, being held by rogue Jem'Hadar.
Somebody stole my dad.
Okay, these are intriguing thoughts. Let's see what develops. Okay, I think we are done unless anyone has any final words. Are there any predictions out in fandom that you've heard that sound promising or pitiful? Anybody? Justin, I know you've been keeping track of some of them.
Like the one with the features involved. Someone has bring up the fact that maybe V'ger is involved that somehow is actual controlling intelligence. I'm like, nah. No.
Get fucking V'ger out of this. That movie sucks.
Well, the whole point of the end of the motion picture was that, like,
It evolved.
V'ger evolved beyond the galaxy. Period.
Well, we don't know what beyond the galaxy means, and did they use those words?
Exactly.
They said evolved, but that
And they
can mean
never talk
anything.
about the supposed brilliant evolution ever again. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of the things that I think is interesting about fan expectations is this notion that somehow the creators of Star Trek are ethically obligated to have to tie up every single loose end with, something that's happening in whatever current film/TV episode is at hand. And I think it's just ridiculous. What they do quite regularly is just dispose of stuff that they didn't want to pursue.
You want to see loose ends tied off? Play Star Trek Online.
I bet. Well,
Oh my God.
that's
Why
marketed
play that?
directly to these kinds of fans, so I'm not surprised.
That's why I don't play that game. There was so much repetition in that game. Good God, it is fan wank.
Okay, whenever it first started, it actually had a pretty decent story, but it just got over the years. They bring up so much crap into it.
The only thing that I liked from that game, really, really liked, was when you discover the race, the Lucari. That storyline I thought was wonderful. But
I kind of like the way they bring Dominion back. That was kind of cool the way they did that. Unbelievable. I mean, yeah, it happened very, very easily.
There's a lot of good in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of good portions of the game. It's just there's a lot of negative in the game too. That's kind of outweighing the good at this point. But
It's all a product of it being an MMO.
that's a discussion for another time, I guess.
Exactly.
I
That's
really
not the
think
show.
I've seen it in a few places, and I have to agree that there is going to be some kind of war conflict that springs up as the cliffhanger for the end of the season.
I'd say, yeah, threat of war maybe, but this isn't the kind of show that's going to.
And
depict
Picard
war.
gets blamed.
I think that makes sense too.
Honestly, I think if I was placing bets, I would say it would be the Romulans placing blame on the Federation, given how the Romulans are, the fact of 7 of 9 suddenly taking control of their Borg cube. 7 of 9, who was a Federation citizen, who created this rogue organization that the Federation swears they didn't have any control over, and is now suddenly in control of their Borg cube. After what we've had in the comic books, which granted aren't considered canon, and what we've had out of just the Romulans expecting subversion after subversion, why would they not look at this and say this was a Federation plot the entire time?
And then Turner, you have a retired Admiral Picard who just happens to get diplomatic clearance just to show up for one day and then mysteriously vanish right before this event takes place.
And it all goes to hell.
And
I think that those kinds of notions make sense. But the overall arc of the show has little to do with sort of galactic politics. These stories are all very personal, very deep and profound about individuals. So I'm not dismissing, I'm not smacking down your theories. I'm just saying that they are context and background. They will not be part of the real through line of this.
It doesn't have to be something that is a foreground thing. It doesn't have to be a plot.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you on that.
You guys know who really is at fault for everything that's gone wrong. If
you say Q, I'm going to throw up in your face.
No.
Tuvix.
Thank you, Travis.
Too easy.
Tuvix.
No.
The revenge of
Janeway.
Tuvix.
Fault for everything here. The true person
Janeway.
at fault. Yes, Janeway.
Janeway. And she'll show up and
think about it. Like, Endgame, what was the future like? It looked real peachy. Everybody was happy. The Doc was married. And, the only thing that was wrong was that Chakotay was dead. Boo-hoo. Or no, Chakotay.
Yeah, Chakotay.
Chakotay was dead. Tuvok was dying. After
And
spending
Matt
years and years
crazy.
and years of not completing
So,
Podfar.
Vulcan
Janeway
dementia.
decides to go back in time to save everybody. So she saves Seven and Chakotay's relationship, which doesn't last apparently, and
That
she
we
saves
know of.
Tuvok, and well, the universe goes to shit. Blame Janeway. Hashtag blame Janeway.
Janeway will show up sometime within the last 2 episodes
Yet
because
at the
No, she
same
won't.
time,
That's
Why not?
ridiculous. Oh my
Why
God,
not?
Justin.
yet at
She
the,
Janeway
decloaks
will
in
not blown
Voyager to
up.
save the day.
yet at the
She
same
was go.
time, you have to give Admiral Janeway credit for advancing what they knew in anti-Borg technology.
Oh, sure, of course. But
why
that's not what this show is about.
Why not? Why not? Why not? Why
Because
wouldn't
it has
Seven contact
nothing to
Admiral
do with
Janeway to tell
her.
her what's going on?
Some Janeway. I was making a joke with the blame Janeway thing.
Yeah, I think we've gone far enough down this rabbit hole, folks, for now. So
I don't think we've gone too far enough.
All right, so we're going to wind down for now. Let's see how our predictions stack up as we go into episode 8 and then the final 2 episodes, 9 and 10 of Star Trek Picard. Join us again next week for our main show, Make It So, the Star Trek Picard after show, and also for our weekly regular Super Geeks podcast, which is released on Mondays, Make It So, and this Prediction Smackdown are released on Saturdays. So join us then. Thanks to our co-hosts. Thanks to our guest, Kate Stark. We hope you return again soon. Thank you for letting me corrupt you. And we're out of here.
And remember, I'm Arium 2.0.
Oh no!
And just look forward to the fidget boxes next week.
Yes, please. All right, take us out. Take us out.